As we grow in our spiritual journey, there comes a time where we need to learn an important lesson. You can't control the world, but you can master yourself. There are some things that we just cannot change. The past cannot be relived again. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, and other people will always have their own free will. But there is one thing that we can actually control, and that is how we react to the things that happen around us. In today's video, I want to talk about why detachment is strength and not weakness. So if you're ready, let's begin. For most of my life, I felt like I had no control over my reality. When I was younger, everything that happened to me seemed to happen because of someone else's actions. Mastering ourselves implies self-control and self-discipline. It means that we can choose how to react to the events that take place in our lives. Viktor Frankl once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. On the contrary, it is an opportunity to focus our energy on what we can control, ourselves." But I disagree. The point of self-improvement is not to try to control the world. If we choose to see the world as a place full of opportunities and challenges to overcome, then that's how we will experience the world. He was trapped underground for several hours without air or water, and yet he managed to survive. When asked how he kept calm and collected during such a terrifying ordeal, he replied that he chose to see the situation as an opportunity to test his limits rather than a disaster. His attitude towards the situation determined his outcome. When we realize that we cannot control the world, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to change other people or circumstances beyond our control. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Instead, we can focus on becoming the best version of ourselves and developing the qualities and skills that will help us overcome any challenge life may throw at us. So remember, brothers and sisters, we cannot control the world, but we can master ourselves. And that is a power that no one can take away from us. On the other hand, if we choose to see the world as a dangerous and unpredictable place, then that's how we will experience the world. In short, our attitude towards the world determines our success. It is to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. By mastering ourselves, we become more resilient, adaptable, and resourceful. We learn to make the most out of every situation and to find opportunities for growth and learning in every experience. We all face challenges and obstacles in life, but it is our attitude towards these challenges that determines our success. If we choose to see them as opportunities to grow and learn, then we will succeed. If we choose to see them as obstacles that can defeat us, then we will fail. When we accept that we cannot control the world, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to change other people or circumstances beyond our control. Instead, we can concentrate on becoming the best version of ourselves and developing the qualities and skills that will help us overcome any challenge life may throw at us. In that space is our power to choose our response. She was born blind and deaf, and yet she became one of the most successful and inspiring people of the 20th century. Why? Because she chose to see her disabilities as a challenge to overcome rather than as a limitation. She said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight in a world worth seeing." Her attitude towards her disabilities determined her success in life. What he meant by this is that between experiencing something and reacting to it, there is a brief moment where we have the ability to choose how we respond. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. During this moment, we have the power to determine whether or not we will allow the experience to define us or to overcome it and grow from it. For example, if someone insults us, we have the choice of responding with anger and hatred or with forgiveness and compassion. If we are faced with a setback or failure, we can either give up and despair or pick ourselves up and keep moving forward. The decision we make during this brief moment will determine how we move forward in life. Our reaction to external events is what defines who we are and what we become. We are the sum of our choices. I used to think that I didn't have any power or influence over my own destiny. We can choose to become the best version of ourselves, but this requires constant effort and dedication. We must learn to control our thoughts, emotions, and actions so that they align with our values and goals. It's not easy to do, but it is possible with practice and persistence. And when bad things happened, I would blame others for my situation. However, after spending years trying to fix other people and control external circumstances, I came to realize that I couldn't change anyone except myself. As much as I wished that my childhood had been different, or that my parents were better people, or that my country had less poverty and corruption, the only person I could truly impact was myself. The only way I could make a difference was by changing my attitude and learning to become resilient in the face of adversity. That doesn't mean that I stopped caring about those issues. It simply means that I realized that complaining about them wouldn't solve anything and that the only way to move forward was to focus on myself rather than on other people. When I first heard this phrase, "You can't control the world, but you can master yourself," I thought it was a paradox. Because if we can't control anything around us, then what does it mean to master ourselves? Well, it means that we cannot control the weather, the economy, politics, other people, and even the past. So to understand this concept better, let's break down these two statements one by one. But what does that mean exactly? Some people suffer from anxiety and constantly worry about the future. They try to predict every possible scenario so they can prepare themselves for whatever might come their way. But here's the truth. Worrying about the future won't make it any better or worse. All we can do is learn to adapt and overcome whatever challenges we face with the skills and knowledge we have developed in the present moment. So instead of worrying about the future, let's focus on living each day to the fullest and making the most out of every opportunity. After all, life is unpredictable, and there's no use in wasting it on useless worries. First of all, let's start with the part that says you can't control the world. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, I get that. We can't control the world. Now that we've covered the first part of the saying, let's move on to the second part, which is, but you can master yourself. This is why the second part of the saying, you can master yourself, is so powerful. If we can't control the world, then the only thing that we can control is our attitude towards the world. So now, let's bring these two ideas together. The fact that we cannot control the world is not a reason to give up or to feel helpless. Some people might argue that if we can't control the world, then what's the point of even trying to improve ourselves? Think about it this way. I remember reading a story about a man who survived being buried alive. Another great example of this principle in action is the story of Helen Keller. The same is true for each and every one of us. To conclude, I want to say that accepting the things we cannot change is the key to happiness and success. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.